Coming to you from the Hudson Media Group studio, this is Talking Politics, and I am the generational talent in Garden State Media, and I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption because my level of honesty, ladies and gentlemen, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, it's me, Fernando Uribe. Folks, hope you're having a wonderful month of March. Again, it's moving right along, and of course, spring will be here before you know it. Obviously, we did just have the first day of spring, but spring-like weather is quickly approaching, and that's always a good thing. You hear the birds chirping, it's a little warmer. You know what? Get to go outside for some day drinking, go down by the pier, whatever it is you're doing, folks. When the weather gets better, so is our life. So in that case, there's a lot to discuss, so let's get started. Here's what I'm thinking about right now. Folks, I've been as vocal a critic of NJ.com as anyone in media. And of course, it's been, let's be honest, a very garbage news site for quite some time. And obviously, it did get a little bit better when it relieved certain people of their duties, such as Tom Moran, the former editor-in-chief of the Star-Ledger editorial board. So, of course, the less we see of Tom Moran on NJ.com, the better. But we'll still see some pretty insufferable op-eds on a regular basis. But I have to tell you, just like a broken clock is right twice a day too, occasionally NJ.com will be able to publish an op-ed that's actually pretty reputable and credible. And we saw that this past week with that published by my good friend, political operative, and a fellow member of Cowboys Nation, Jeanette Hoffman-Henney. Now, let me just give you some context here about why this op-ed is so significant. Right? Now, the title of the op-ed is "Trump is Right to Crack Down on Anti-Semitism at Colleges because Violence Against Jews isn't free speech." So let me read you a little bit of the column and just to give you a context of why this is so significant. Jeanette wrote, "Last Sunday morning, as I dropped off my two young children at Hebrew school, I thought about the Bibas family in Israel, whose children's bodies were recently returned from Gaza in tiny coffins after being kidnapped on October the 7th. Now, beautiful redheaded Ariel, age 4, and baby Kift, who's only 9 months old, were ripped away from their mother Shiri's arms and brutally strangled with their bare hands of the captors, simply because they were Jewish. Yet Hamas and some of the people of Gaza paraded their coffins around in a victorious celebration with loud music to a crowd of thousands, as if these innocent babies were somehow deserving of their murders. Now, Gaza's sick, dead baby parade is a reminder of the evil and horrors that Hamas has committed since that fall day in 2023, as well as the callous and pervasive anti-Semitism that it continues to fester. Sadly, there are many agitators in the United States who openly celebrate the actions of Hamas, the kidnapping of children, the raping of teenage girls and women, and the murder of innocent Jews. They want my own children dead simply because they're Jewish." Now look at the anti-Jew hellscape that's become Columbia University and Barnard College. For close to 18 months now, Jewish students have been targeted with threats, intimidation, and physical violence from pro-Hamas, anti-Israel agitators. They've been subjected to social media videos with fellow students saying, quote, "Zionists don't deserve to live." Just a few weeks ago, a mob took over the Barnard College library and distributed pamphlets by the, quote, Hamas media office with photos of former Hezbollah terror chief Hassan Nasrallah, and they inscribed, quote, "Death to America" in the library's guest book. As a parent, I can't imagine paying over $82,000 a year for my child to go to an Ivy League school where radical anti-American activists set up illegal encampments, violently take over campus buildings, and routinely threaten the safety of students. The Trump administration has rightfully declared this anti-Semitic, anti-American discrimination, and violence will no longer be tolerated at Columbia or any other school. Now, recently, there's been much controversy over the arrest of Mahmoud Khalil, the ringleader of Colombia's pro-terror, anti-Israel activities. Now, Khalil, a Syrian native on his green card, was detained by ICE and targeted for deportation because the administration has been charging he's a national security threat and allegedly involved in activities tied to Hamas. Well, when you're giving out pamphlets that have Hamas logos on it, yeah, you're pretty much contributing to domestic terrorism, which is what Mahmoud Khalil is being accused of. Now, make no mistake, it's well documented that the group that Khalil represents, the Columbia United Apartheid Divest, which is CUAD, aligns itself with terror organizations like Hamas and Hezbollah, and calls for, quote, "the end of Western civilization." They openly endorse violence, saying in an Instagram post, quote, "We support liberation by any means necessary, including armed resistance." On the one-year anniversary of October 7th, CUAD celebrated the barbaric murder of Jews, calling it a moral, military, and political victory. If you quickly scan the headlines, you might think Mahmoud Khalil's arrest could be a free speech issue. It actually isn't. Khalil is not a peaceful anti-war protester. Khalil is a foreign agitator who, as a guest of this country, is being accused of threatening our national security and aligning with Hamas. Yeah, by the way, to all the people defending him out there, yeah, when you're passing out pamphlets on campus, and the pamphlets happen to have logos that are associated with Hamas, if not actual Hamas logos on literature you're passing out to students in the quad, yeah, that pretty much tells me everything I need to know about Mahmoud Khalil. Now, let's be clear. Since October the 7th, thousands of Jewish students across the country have had their lives upended by threats, intimidation, and violence initiated by pro-Hamas, anti-Israel agitators like Khalil himself. Jewish students continually fear for their safety on campuses, and discrimination is rampant. Anti-Semitic vandalism is everywhere on campus buildings, including human feces recently being smeared on the door of a Jewish fraternity. Yet many politicians turn a blind eye to this blatant discrimination and violence against Jews. Frankly, if this were any other ethnic or racial group targeted, the previous administration would have stepped in a long time ago to protect their civil rights. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said it best. No one has a right to a student visa, and no one has a right to a green card. Here's an even better one for you. No one from a foreign country has the right to tear down our universities, threaten American students, and come to our country and align themselves with terrorist organizations that wish to destroy us. Now, here's the kicker here in the column by Jeanette. The First Amendment is a cornerstone of our American democracy, and college campuses should be open forums for rigorous debate. But threatening the lives and civil rights of others while engaging in pro-terrorist activities is not protected free speech. It's finally time for a reckoning on our college campuses. Folks, I got to tell you again, just in case you weren't familiar, Jeanette Hoffman-Henney is the president of the New Jersey-based Marathon Public Affairs. She's a former executive director of the New Jersey State Republican Committee, and of course, a frequent contributor on various political platforms. And as a matter of fact, she's been a regular guest on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV. So kudos to Jeanette for pointing out the obvious. Because, folks, what Mahmoud Khalil represents is a hostile wing of not just progressives, but those who, quite frankly, seek the destruction of the United States. And Marco Rubio's right. You don't have a right to a green card. You don't have a right to a visa. It's called a privilege. And if you're going to obtain either of them, I think it's not a lot to ask that you comply with the laws of the country that you are a student in or a person that received a green card in. But that's way too much critical thinking for someone like Mahmoud Khalil. All these left-wingers that are crying over the deportations of people like Mahmoud Khalil, right? Or Venezuelan gang members that should be rotting away somewhere. Oh, as a matter of fact, they are. So that's a good thing. But folks, let's get back to anti-Semitism on our college campuses. I've certainly shown the picture before, and I've certainly discussed it at length, but it bears repeating. There's a famous picture out there back from 1938 when Nazi soldiers were on the steps of Vienna University, stopping Jewish students and faculty members from entering the campus. That was 1938, folks, right? At the height of World War II, as the Nazis were having their way with Western Europe. Well, fast forward some almost 80 years later, and what do we see on the steps of Columbia University? We see jihadists basically doing the same thing to Jewish students and faculty members. So essentially, folks, in 2024, going into 2025, we have Nazis with headscarves, right? Screaming, Allah Akbar, and other rhetoric, let's be honest, is hostile to the United States. So basically, what's the difference between the two pictures? Yes, it's Nazis in 1938 in Nazi uniforms, yes, but these are just Nazis now with headscarves. Folks, there's no difference now. There just isn't. But many on the left and progressives and establishment media won't tell you that or won't discuss that. But unlike many in the establishment media who are just home scratching their ass, I, on the other hand, leave my house. I, on the other hand, have gone to Jihadist University on the Upper West Side, aka known as Columbia University. I've been in the trenches there. I've stood in front of protesters, filming them, and reminding everybody that these are jihadists on our college campuses. That's what they are. Folks, there's no easy way to say this. Because anti-Semitism is running rampant, not just across the river in New York, but here in New Jersey and across the country. Take your pick, folks. A quick Google search will tell you what Jewish students are subjected to on a daily basis. Never mind Jewish faculty. I have friends from grad school that teach at NYU who've been harassed on campus as they are, just going about their day. But don't tell that to pro-Palestinian activists and agitators. They want to hear that. They'd rather scream death to the West or death to America than actually have a dialogue and a conversation. Folks, there's no reasoning with these people. There's no reasoning with people like Mahmoud Khalil, who's a domestic terrorist. There's no reasoning with people like this who continue to make the lives of not just Jewish students and faculty members unbearable, but everyday regular Americans unbearable. White, Hispanic, Black, male, female, Middle Eastern, Asian, you name it, folks, name the demographic. That's who they're inconveniencing on a daily basis. And you would think that the establishment media on a national level and here in New Jersey would do more to raise awareness about anti-Semitism. Well, folks, I don't mind being the lone crusader when it comes to something like this. Because when it comes to talking about issues that matter to everyday people, not all the woke bullshit that the establishment media, both nationally and in New Jersey, fixate on. No, folks, I'm here to tell you the truth about issues that aren't always easy to hear. So when it comes to defending Jewish people and Jewish faculty members on college campuses, ladies and gentlemen, very simply, I'm the hero you need right now, and I'll continue to be. And that's what I'm thinking about right now. And I have some local news for your consideration. And shout out to James Los Santos and other good people at HuffPost for their reporting on this very significant story. Now, the Union City Police Department have debunked viral allegations of teacher misconduct at Union City High School. Now, the Union City Police Department has denied allegations claiming that a Union City High School teacher was arrested for misconduct involving a student. According to Captain Walter Laurencio of the Union City PD, no such incident has been reported. Quote, we consulted with the Board of Education and nothing has been reported. There was no incident on March the 5th, no arrest of any teacher, and no police action taken regarding these allegations. The claims, which began circulating on social media, were spread by an individual known as, well, I'm not going to refer to him as his bullshit gimmick name. His name is Leonard Flapowski. Now, he alleged that a teacher was discovered engaging in a sexual act with a student in a locked classroom and was later arrested on March the 19th. However, both the UCPD and Hudson County Prosecutor's Office have denied any such arrest or investigation. Flapowski has previously been accused of spreading misinformation. Just last week, the Recording Academy of Arts and Sciences confirmed to HuffPost that Flapowski falsely claimed to be a Grammy Award winner, despite having no official recognition. Joe Lauro, a spokesman for the Union City Board of Education, dismissed the accusations. Quote, there is no proof of any of this because it never happened. This guy follows people around and harasses them. Now he's involving students and teachers in this. He's even threatened me. Lauro added that the Board of Education is considering legal action in response to these false claims by Flapowski. Quote, the board is discussing possible legal action against him. I'm not part of those discussions, but I know that they are taking this seriously. He also emphasized that any credible allegations involving students and teachers would have been handled through official channels. Quote, if any situation arose with a student and a teacher, the matter would be immediately reported to the NCPD, and they would bring to the attention of the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office. Well, folks, this is what we have come to learn about Leonard Flapowski. A wannabe journalist, a wannabe Grammy winner, and just a wannabe human being, folks. I mean, there's nothing redeeming about trash like Leonard Flapowski, who since December of 2023 has made it a point to come harass Union City Mayor and State Senator Brian Stack, Weehawken Mayor Richard Turner, the county commissioners in Jersey City, the mayor of Edison, and I believe another township in Morris County. Now, who's paying for Flapowski? Who's giving him money to afford an apartment in Hudson County and give him gas money to go up and down the state and be just an outright agitator? That remains to be seen, folks, and there's plenty of rumor and innuendo as to who that benefactor really is. But folks, again, let's move past this. We need to stop giving oxygen to people like Flapowski. Now, as of today's recording, it's my understanding that his Facebook account has been suspended, and rightfully so. When you're publishing either harassing content or you're posting spam or information that goes against community guidelines that have been set foot by Meta and Facebook, well, then you're going to have your account suspended. And that is what Leonard Filipowski has been doing. Okay? He has been publishing nonsense for quite some time. And what's interesting is, of course, it's always the same amount of locals that somehow embolden him. Whether it's joker podcasters like Full Court Press or the Long Island Audit, or retired malcontents like Joe Blaitler, Ernie Rivera Batiste, John Bender. Whether it's malcontents who, don't have a pot to piss in like Jose Garrido Jr., who's always crying about money, but somehow finds the time and resources to buy replica championship belts. Folks, if you're crying poverty, that's not a good look. Having said that, folks, let me just say this. Leonard Filipowski has been not just a nuisance, but he's a professional agitator. Take your pick, whether it's going to church on the south side of Jersey City to disrupt a church mass after Governor Murphy and State Senator Stack endorsed former Governor McGreevey in the upcoming Jersey City mayoral race. Folks, this is what's interesting. Okay? If you watch the footage, first of all, Leonard, you just can't walk into a church and think you own the place and say, "Oh, I'm just going to play a piano because I'm a pianist." Listen, kudos to you. I don't know how to play the piano, so I'll give you all the props on that one. Okay? But just because I can play a guitar, an acoustic one specifically, doesn't mean I'm going to walk into like any, non-denominational church or a music store and just start playing the guitar. I don't do that because I have what's called decorum. I have what's called also, folks, and it's a big four-syllable word that people like Leonard Filipowski and his minions struggle with, and that's called integrity, right? It's a big four-syllable word there. Okay? I wouldn't just walk in somewhere and think I own the place, but that's sort of like this arrogant persona that Leonard Filipowski has developed. Who told you, Leonard, to walk into a church, start playing the piano, and think it's okay? And when you're asked to stop, and then you're being a nuisance, you decide to flop on the floor as you're being escorted out quicker than LeBron James in a basketball court. And mind you, folks, full disclosure, I'm a devoted Los Angeles Lakers fan. So believe me, I can make fun of LeBron James, but also understand I can be a fan, but also acknowledge when he's flopping on a consistent basis. That's what Leonard Filipowski's been doing. Or, for example, when he's at the State House in Trenton and being asked to leave by state troopers. Folks, they're not going to ask you nicely. And when you decide to make a spectacle of yourself, I'm sorry, I can't take you seriously. So kudos to HUDPost for exposing this fraud, because that's what Leonard Filipowski is. Now, again, what becomes of Leonard Filipowski in the weeks and months ahead, I don't know. He'll continue to be a nuisance, but folks, the best thing we can do is just continue to ignore him. Because just like a crying baby in a crib, sooner or later, once you ignore the baby and the incessant crying, the baby stops because the baby knows you're not paying attention to him or her. Well, maybe we should do that with Leonard Filipowski. In other local news, and a special thank you to John R. Highness, fellow Rutgers alumnus and the editor of the Hudson County View, as well as being a devoted Rutgers alumnus, for his reporting on this interesting op-ed. And I want to thank Hudson County GOP Chair Jose Arango and the Vice Chair for Communications, Joshua Sotomayor Einstein, for giving their take on why, quote, loyalty to progressive politics continues to sabotage Democrat legislators in Trenton. I'll give you some highlights here, which really, best summarize what's going on in the Capitol here in New Jersey. Now, the recent Democrat Assembly Caucus memo on the coming electricity price hikes show how out of touch the woke progressives who have hijacked the Democrat Party are. Bemoaning the skyrocketing increase of up to 20% on electric bills, the Dems failed to take any responsibility. Their party has been in complete control of the state government for 8 years, and in the 8 years prior to that, which again encompasses complete control of the legislature. Folks, we've had Republican governors and Democrat governors in the last 30 years, but you know what's been consistent since 2001? Democrats have had solid majorities in both chambers in the legislature. Currently in the state assembly, they have a majority of 52 to 28. And in the state Senate, they have a majority of 24 to 16. So clearly, when we think about what's been going wrong in Trenton, right? I don't know, maybe taxpayer dollars in the budget being allocated to a legal fund to help illegals fight deportation. I don't know. That seems to be good use of our taxpayer dollars, right? Or the state budget getting fatter than some of the latest ladies who are, modeling lingerie for Victoria's Secret, right? In recent years, right? Since Victoria's Secret went woke, in the last few years. Okay. That's how fat the state budget has gotten. Okay. But somehow conservatives and Republicans like myself, we're the ones to blame for this in New Jersey. No, people like me have had no say in Trenton since 2001. And yes, we've had Republican and Democrat governors, as I just alluded to. But far left Democrats in the legislature seem to be okay with spend, and tax, instead of save. So again, it's easy to vilify electric companies. How about the fact that you've been spending beyond your means in Trenton? But more on that later. Okay. Instead, the Democrat Assembly claims that they support nuclear power, as if the road to affordable electricity from nuclear power was blocked by Republicans rather than constant progressive Democrats fear-mongering. Demonstrating how truly detached they are from free enterprise facts and blinded by their loyalty to, quote, progressive politics, the Democrat Assembly members had a memo that said, quote, "We have led the nation in efforts to create clean energy." How? Really? Which would make New Jersey energy independent while creating thousands of good-paying middle-class jobs here at home. That's not true. Where are these jobs? They're either diluted or, far worse than anyone knew, or just explicitly lying. Folks, it's the latter. Writing an angry memo on electric prices set to rise 20% because of their own policies, while patting themselves on the back for all their quote failed efforts, is beyond insulting to the people of the state of New Jersey. The reality is electricity and other costs will continue to grow if the state capital is run by tax spend and chase progressive Democrats. They raise taxes, spend on woke pet projects like, giving driver's licenses to illegals, right? Because let's be honest, their ability to get, let's say, good car insurance is really limited. So if, God forbid, you get into an accident with an illegal, well, folks, try collecting on that deductible. It's going to be hellacious, right? And of course, progressively chase more residents and jobs out of state. Don't believe me? Folks, people are voting with their feet, which is why the state of California and the state of New York are losing House seats. Why? Because with the upcoming redistricting every 10 years after the census, well, guess what? People are moving out of blue states like California and New York. And guess who's going to pick up those House seats? State of Florida, state of Texas. Why? Any coincidence? Yeah, they're red states. They're governed a hell of a lot better. Yes, of course, no state income tax, but they're not governed by woke projects. Again, they care more about preserving property taxes and public safety and not woke bullshit like pronouns. Like, who cares? I don't. But again, folks, people are voting with their feet, and we're seeing that in New Jersey. Soon enough, ladies and gentlemen, people will be voting with their feet here in New Jersey, and New Jersey will lose some House seats because people will be leaving. We're seeing it already. Yet woke Democrat leaders ignore the issue they create either by action or neglect and instead applaud themselves for banning new gas appliances and mandating electric vehicles. Oh, like some of the electric vehicles that those on the left are shooting at and setting on fire? Yeah, way to be about green energy. Yeah, it's nice to own a Tesla when it's convenient, right? But that's the state of the modern Democrat Party, folks. Far left progressives and woke fools have hijacked the party. And listen, clearly they didn't learn their lesson from November the 5th. And if they haven't, that's cool with me. They can keep taking L's every election day from here until God knows when. But it seems like they haven't gotten that memo. And the reality is they probably won't for the immediate future. Let's move to Jersey City, and a special thank you to Aaron Morrill, the editor of the Jersey City Times, for his reporting on this story. Now, Jersey City Heights residents, which have been long frustrated by low-flying helicopters, are hoping to soon see some legislative relief. U.S. Representative Rob Menendez Jr. sent a letter to Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and the acting FAA Administrator Chris Rochello urging immediate action. Of course, the letter was co-signed by 11 other lawmakers from both New York and New Jersey following a series of near misses and runway incursions from the New York metropolitan area. Now, folks, what makes this story significant, though, is that this is an issue going back to the early 2010s. I remember because I stood there on the waterfront when Rob's father, former U.S. Senator Bob Menendez, stood there with U.S. Representative Albio Ceres trying to make light of all of the constant helicopter noise that was going up and down the Hudson River, as far up as the Tappan Zee Bridge, all the way south to the Staten Island Bridge. Now, again, folks, it's very interesting because it seems like there's no relief in sight. It's an issue that members of both the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate have been battling with for the last decade. Now, folks, I don't claim to have the answers, even though I do most of the times on this program. But I got to tell you, this is an issue that's going to take a lot of bipartisan support and work with people, not just across the river in New York City, but here in New Jersey. And I get it, ladies and gentlemen. People love helicopter tours, and helicopters are a necessity in this area for EMS workers, for police and fire. I get that. And having fully functional helicopters in the area is of a dire need. But can we balance a little bit with the noise and also how frequent that they fly out here? I don't know, folks. It's not an easy problem to solve. But I'll tell you one thing. And listen, I've had plenty of my disagreements with the U.S. Representative Rob Menendez, where we don't see eye to eye on any policies. But we remain friends, and we can have conversations like gentlemen, because that's what we do when we disagree. We can still be friends and respectfully disagree. I do that with Rob Menendez on a regular basis. But I can tell you, no one works harder in northern New Jersey that I know of in the House of Representatives than Rob Menendez. So rest assured, folks, if there's someone that's going to roll up his sleeves and get to work and try to maybe come to some sort of consensus on this issue and try to fix it, it's definitely Rob Menendez. Lastly, folks, don't forget to mark on your calendars for Thursday night, April the 17th, at the world-famous Waterside along the waterfront in North Bergen, New Jersey, for the 2025 edition of Memories Matter to benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. Joining me on Thursday night, April 17th, will be my incredible co-hosts, ladies and gentlemen, Vladimir Carrero, Lucy Costa, Alexandra Hammer, Carmen Kenny, and Jacqueline Rodriguez. We'll greet you upon arriving, and all we're asking for is a modest $20 donation at the door. And again, all proceeds from the evening will benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. We'll have plenty of great sponsors, as well as plenty of raffles throughout the evening from local restaurants and spas, with, once again, all proceeds benefiting Alzheimer's New Jersey. In addition, DJ Ziggy Roman will be rocking the tunes all night long. Yeah, I know, folks, I just showed my age there with that terminology. But nevertheless, folks, he'll be rocking and rolling. Yeah, I just did it again. All night long, folks, starting at 7 p.m. and we'll be going until the late hours on Thursday night, April the 17th, once again, for Memories Matter 2025 to benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. And together, we can defeat Alzheimer's once and for all. And that's our show for this week. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, to check out all the excellent programming brought to you by the leader in independent media here in Hudson County, the Hudson Media Group, please follow them on YouTube. Again, like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of our wonderful programming, which includes Talking Politics with Fernando Uribe, Hudson County View Live on Wednesdays with John R. Highness, Stick at Night with Hudson County Commissioner Anthony Romano, and of course, all the great young men and women working at North Bergen High School, producing great content each and every week. Don't forget to like the Hudson Media Group on Facebook, and of course, follow them on Instagram and X. You can also check out my own social media platforms there listed below. And folks, again, we appreciate your support here with the Hudson Media Group. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always talking politics right here with the Hudson Media Group. I am the generational talent in Garden State Media, and I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption, because my level of honesty, ladies and gentlemen, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. And folks, with all the irresponsible behaviors by the establishment liberal media, trust me, I'm the hero you need right now more than ever. I'm Fernando Uribe, folks. Thanks for stopping by. And always remember, stay classy, everyone.